Hey there! Thanks for joining me. I've got a subject matter, well, basically, it's your question to me. And I've gathered up a few questions from you guys, and I just wanted to be able to answer what it is based on my experience that you might want to know. Basically, it's all about caregiving. In case you haven't noticed, everywhere on social media, it's basically blasting out that November is Family Caregiver Month. That's right. Anybody that's caring for a loved one is going to understand what it is and that they're not alone. Why would they feel like they're alone? Well, honestly, they do. Because, oh my gosh, it is such an isolating thing. You don't realize what the outside world is up to. Why would you? Why would you even know? You don't know. You're not alone. Trust me. I'm just letting you know that, hey, I've got questions from people that have been tuning in that were asking specific things, and so I'm going to cover that. Stay tuned on the next episode on Chatting It Up with CJ. Thanks for joining me. I know you have a lot of choices. I'm really happy that you decided to stop in. But let's get to the questions that you've asked me, and I'm going to answer them based on my experience, and hopefully we'll learn along together. Maybe I can impart something, do something good for society on this Caregiver Month. The first question that came in was, what are your thoughts about indoor cameras? I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that to my mom, but it got to a point where I kind of had to do that because being the only person taking care of my mom, I couldn't do it on my own. I had to have an extra set of eyes. And that's the reason why I decided to do that. You know, my mom wasn't always bedridden. But when she did become bedridden and I needed to go out and, well, do stuff, like I needed to leave the house to take care of things, to make sure that everything kept flowing, I needed to make sure that my mom was okay. And I felt like I was spying on her. And I have spoken to other people. They have said, you know, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Okay, that's a fair statement. I understand that. You may not feel comfortable doing that, like you're spying, like there's a sense of privacy. Completely understandable. But if you need to get out of the house and do something and there's nobody else that can fill in, you're going to have to make that decision. You're going to have to go and do the uncomfortable part. I know a lot of people that have done that. And this is the outcome. They've seen things that they really didn't want to see. And I certainly didn't want to see my mom in certain predicaments. But I've heard of cases where their loved one would be doing things. It would be caught on that camera. And it's like, oh my gosh, you got to peek into the world to know exactly what they were up to and why they were doing what they were doing. It's the most unthinkable stuff. But what I did with my mom is I had an Arlo. There's various different types of wireless cameras that can link directly to your iPhone or your Android. And I never let my mom know that it was a camera. And I told her, I said, every time she goes, well, there's a little light that keeps flashing on it, you know, because it was Bluetooth. But I told her, I said, well, Mom, it's a direct link to my phone. And anytime I'm in the area or something, if my phone is activated, it will blink. I said, it's how I talk to you. Now, it was a two-way radio, so it didn't matter where I was. I could always call in through the camera and have a discussion with my mom. The difference is that she couldn't call out to me, but I could call out to her if I needed to talk to her. If she was doing something that was not cool, then I would just like, hey, Mom, you know, I'm coming back. Or, you know, if she knew I was going to the grocery store, I'm on my way back. She'd go, okay. Then she'd kind of place her to-go order because she was hungry. So I became basically an Uber Eats. or Grubhub. I turned into that. But mom knew that she could always hear from me. She never knew that it was a camera. I didn't want her to feel like I was spying on her. The truth of the matter, I was. But I did it for her safety. Believe me, I did not want to see things that I didn't want to see. It really came in handy for me at one point because my mom ended up being bedridden for the last year of her life. And knowing that she couldn't really move around, or if she did try to get out of bed, because she'd forget that she can't get out of bed, she couldn't walk. I didn't want her to get hurt. And so, if I saw something, I was like, oh man, I get on the speaker. Hey mom, I'm on my way. I'm on my way back. Um, just hold on. Don't move. I didn't let her know that I saw her, but I just tried to keep her preoccupied to just sit still. I'm going to be there soon. Or literally, I would talk to her the entire way home. If I was 20 minutes out, I would talk to her that entire time just to keep her preoccupied, because she goes, oh, I was just going to get up and get something. And I'm like, okay, well, you can't get up and get something, but she didn't know that. That's the difference. She did not know that. So those are just something to think about as a two-way speaker system. And, it came in really handy at nighttime when she was going to bed, or I decided I want to go to bed and I would hear something. I could always peek in her room, and I had another one set up in the front of the house because mom's place she was in the back of the house and I needed to know what was happening in the front of the house. And then I had the Ring doorbell so I could see what was happening on the outside perimeter. I mean, these are just ideas. People take the Ring doorbell, which is intended for outdoors, but they'll put it indoors. A camera's a camera, right? There's also a Blink Mini 2, really small, compact camera, works really well. You can find those anywhere if they're on sale for like $20, $40, something like that. And the Arlo that I purchased was part of a system. It's anywhere from $65 to a couple hundred, depends on how much you want to spend. And then if the Ring doorbell, if you do get a Ring doorbell, you can get them used. You can get an outdated model that still works for $100. They're all over Amazon. I mean, trust me, Amazon has everything, right? I haven't found anything that Amazon doesn't have, but that's just something. And honestly, I didn't want to make my mom feel uncomfortable. I really didn't, but I needed to do something for her safety. She never knew it, but it gave me peace of mind too. So there's advantages to having an indoor camera. Sometimes I've also heard that if you go into an assisted living place, if your loved one is in there, you have to ask the staff, but I believe, and I don't know this for sure, every place is different, but they have allowed, they have permitted cameras in the loved one's room, not the facility per se, but in the room. So that's something to think about too if you end up in that situation. The second question that I got has to do with active living facilities or care facilities for memory care, or but basically it's like, how do I find a facility for my loved one if it ever gets to that point? My mom was placed in a active living facility that had memory care, but she was in there temporarily for 3 months, and she had it under respite care. I didn't know. That was so green. I didn't know what respite was. That's how bad it was for me. I mean, let's face it, I've said this in the past. Caregiving, people don't plan on that. It just kind of happens, and you get thrown into the fire or the pool, and you got to learn how to swim or sink. And you got to figure out how to put out the fires so that you're able to function and function well. Um, when my mom needed to be into a care facility, um, basically we were referred to a placement agency. And these placement agencies are usually have a list of places that they can refer clients to. It's free. It's a free service because they get paid by the agencies. So if you go through them and they place you and you give their name as a referral, they get a credit for every person that becomes a resident or a client of that facility. That's how that works. A lot of times, places like WeCare.com, PlaceforMOM, Rightathome, those are all placement agencies and or facilities themselves, or they have people that they hire as caregivers that go to the home, and they basically go to the home of the patient or the client. That's how that works. In my mom's case, she ended up going to a facility. It was a referral. We went to different places. There was group homes where it's a home where you have so many different patients where they share a room or they have their own individual room. It's considerably lower in cost. But you have to feel it out and figure out what's going to be fitting best for your loved one. You're going to know how they're going to be feeling about it. My mom was like, oh, heck no, I'm not going into one of those places. And I'm like, yeah, you are. Look at it was a temporary thing. And I had to reassure my mom that it was a temporary thing. It was for 3 months. And we were doing some work around the house and she couldn't be there. The nice thing about it is they gave me respite rates. I don't know what the regular rate was, but at the time, this was back in 2017, they charged me $150 a day, and then they charged me a couple extra charges because I asked them to bathe my mom twice a week. So that was an extra cost as well. And like I said, she was there for 3 months. And as much as she fought me on it, she ended up really enjoying it. She was mobile at that time. She was walking around with her little walker. And she felt like, because I kept telling her, instead of saying it's a care facility and you're going into this place, in her eyes, everybody was too old. And she was the spring chicken of the group. And, she loved it because they had a cafeteria. She loved the food. She loved the people. She thought that, she was, like I said, the spring chicken. So she enjoyed being social with everybody. At the end, they loved her. She ended up loving it. But she was like, get me home. When can I go home? And I told her, I said, you don't like your apartment? That's what I called it. I go, you don't like your apartment? She goes, no, I like my apartment, but I just want to be home now. I said, I understand. So, within a certain time frame, I did bring her back home. So that worked out. But, there's several care agencies. People are leery about it. They said, I'm concerned about where I'm going to go and where to find a place because a lot of these places don't have proper vetting, and rightfully so. There's so many places that hire caregivers because they're short-staffed. But how do you know that the caregiver that you're sending to your parents' place or your loved one's place is on the up and up? How do you know that the care facility that you're going to has proper vetting of the people that are being the caregivers at that facility? Well, I did find out that CareLinx, CareLinx, basically they are a trusted core of everything that they do. Here it says here they have a rigorous vetting process, and I'll have this in the links down below. And it says that they undergo a professional, comprehensive background check, multi-step behavioral interviews, and customized training. That is something that CareLinx does. There's also one-on-one cares. 1+1 cares uses rigorous screening processes and background checks as well, reference verification, documentation verification, and that they ensure that they only have qualified and trustworthy professionals that are connected with the family. So there are places that have a rigorous background check. Some of them, there's one called Clara, Clara, and excuse me. They ensure that your peace of mind is paramount. It said before joining their team, every caregiver undergoes a rigorous vetting, including criminal background checks, detailed reference verifications, and credential verifications. They make sure that there's tuberculosis testing and mandatory CPR and first aid certification. So these places, they do have that. This one was called Care, C-A-R-E, Home Care. And the catch is these places exist, but they charge a lot of money. I don't have the amounts of money that they charge, but the traditional, 45, 50 bucks an hour, they may charge like 100 and a quarter an hour, and with a 4-hour minimum. They have their reasons for charging that much because they do all the background check. You are paying for that quality of service that's guaranteed. Something to think about. When I had to get my mom some help, I went through 7 different people, and I went independent because it came out of my pocket. It was hard to find somebody that, number one, did a good job, number two, that my mom liked, and number three, that was somebody that was helping me. Because, there's people that just work for a paycheck. So if money is of no object, of course, you're going to get great care. Maybe you might have somebody great that's come in that's totally certified and totally vetted. But you also, you get what you pay for. I was fortunate enough that when my mom needed help, I had somebody that was part of a care facility that was leaving. They were in between, and they were able to help me out, and we were able to work out a deal, financially. So people like that exist. It's hard to find people that you can trust, and, so that you can do what you need to do too. And, so I totally understand that. Another thing is, you may want to check out social workers. The ALZsociety has places that can refer you. They're always referring people to elder care. The hospital social workers, not that you'd be in a hospital, but there's plenty of places that social workers are going to be aware of that, especially with elder law. Elder law attorneys are another resource. They're going to know where to go and who they've had issues with, not to go there. I mean, that's something to think about. And, they'll find out who's licensed and bonded. If there's care facilities that you're checking out, or maybe caregiving agencies that, outsource, you might want to try the Better Business Bureau. There's so many different ideas of how you can do this. And I understand it is probably the most stressful thing that you'll do, because you're welcoming somebody into your loved one's home, or even your home, and you don't know. You need the help. I get it. And it's stressful to try to figure that out. But with that being said, those are just some ideas, and I'll put these ideas in the chat down below. DME, do you know what that is? Somebody was asking me, DMEs, it's called durable medical equipment. Everything from a wheelchair, hospital bed, oxygen machine, shower chair, those types of things are called durable medical equipment. I had to get certain things. I bought them personally, privately. But when I did need to have certain things, I found out that when you go to your PCP, your primary care physician, you can ask them. They have a list of people that they're dealing with, and they can refer you. And if not, they can find out if your insurance company even accepts it. If they accept it, then they can at least tell you, okay, you get an allotment of so much. Yes, you get the coverage. No, you don't. Or you only get so much. Then they can at least refer you to, hey, try this place. And they'll be able to help you out with that as well. Sometimes they'll be able to help you with resources for placement of care facilities too. But I found out that I asked my PCP, do we have allowances for that? And they said, you know what, we think that you do, but you might want to double check it with your Medicare insurance policy. I said, all right. So I called Medicare and I said, are there any type of benefits programs that I'm entitled to? If you're part of Medicaid, that's another thing. You can call them up and say, what kind of benefits program do I have for incontinence or durable medical equipment, DMEs? You know, we're looking for a commode, you know, or something like that. And they'll be able to refer it to you. And even with supplies, such as incontinence supplies, they'll tell you, you have a certain amount of dollars available for this benefit. This will get you blah, 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 blah. And, you know, and we'll rotate in supplies, caregiving supplies. If you need to have a shower chair or a walker or something like that, they'll let you know. And sometimes, like when I went to get the commode for my mom, they didn't give it to me. I had to pay something for it. They said, well, you have a certain amount available for this medical equipment, but you're going to have to pay, like, I think it was $11 or $15. And then insurance will pay the rest. And then they'll deliver it to you. That's how that works. So those are ideas, and brand new. So it's an idea. It is something for you. So I hope this Q&A kind of helped you out. And I hope that you have a blessed rest of your week and that you also take good care of yourself. And I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for watching. And please remember to hit the subscribe button. We are trying to grow our channel and reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, for every new subscriber, these two nutheads right here, they're going to get a treat, so we will all be happy. Thanks for watching.